Hey guys, the full patch notes for patch 6.3 are out, and that means that we know all of the job changes coming out in a few hours. Also, Machinist has got what is, in my opinion, the best utility in the game, second only to Combat Revive. And I'm not trolling, you heard me right. Yoshi P delivered to us Machinist enjoyers the holy grail of utility on a silver platter. More on that later. I'm obviously really freaking happy. But this video also covers the extremely extensive Paladin rework that we've only heard a few key details from past live letters on, so this is for sure something to check out. So first up is that Paladin's core rotation really did revolve around a physical cycle of dealing damage under the fight or flight buff, and then moving into a magic cycle once you used Requiescat, which would give you 5 stacks of the Requiescat buff, which is going to enhance the damage of your Holy Spirit and your Holy Circle spender skills. From there you would transition into Confedier, into Blade of Faith, into Blade of Truth, and the Blade of Valor as your ending of your combo. That is still there largely. You will still be following a similar pattern, but there are portions of that that have definitely been breaking up the rotation of the kit added. So Requiescat now grants 4 stacks of the Requiescat buff, and now on a separate buff there is going to be the additional effect of being Confedier ready. This is extremely similar to the before. The only difference is now you can't really mess up Requiescat combo by pressing a 5th Holy Spirit, which I totally need to confess that I of course never, not at once ever did. Yeah, thank you Yoshi P. Now where things start to really take a turn and get really weird to what we're used to is now your AoE finisher Prominence and one of your melee finishers, Royal Authority specifically, act exactly how they used to. They restore MP. Apparently they buffed Prominence's MP return, so that's nice, but that's not anything shocking. Royal Authority gives 3 stacks of Sword Oath. Yeah, been there, done that. But now Prominence and Royal Authority will also give you a buff called Divine Might, which lets you cast Holy Spirit or Holy Circle with no cast time and give you actually a boatload of extra damage, just like you would under Requiescat. How at least I'm modeling it in my own brain is basically you're getting a mini Requiescat charge with each physical 1-2-3 combo, outside of course when you want to use Goring Blade, which won't give you one of these charges. On the note of Goring Blade, just because I brought up the name, I may as well say that Goring Blade now is simply just straight up 700 potency of damage to the face. Damage over time effect was removed. Now people are going to question, okay, with both Requiescat buff and the Divine Might buff active on my character, which is used first if I use Holy Spirit? Divine Might will be what is prioritized, which is nice because Requiescat is going to be just a nice pleasant little stack of charges that you don't need to worry too much about. Obviously rotation and optimization considerations are going to have to be accounted for there. Also, nice thing is that Holy Spirit did get a slight damage buff, which is nice because we're obviously going to be using it so much more than we were before. Now we're going to move on to the Confedier combo. We're seeing adjustments to numbers, not really a net buff or net nerf. Confedier itself hits 100 less. Blade of Faith though hits way harder. Blade of Truth also hits way harder. Blade of Valor's damage over time effect, similar to Goring Blade's damage over time effect, was just removed and packed up into a big chunk of damage. But noteworthy is to say that overall less damage than Blade of Valor used to do with the full damage over time ticks if we really dived into the numbers here. Was it a buff? Is it a nerf? It's a maybe? It's kind of all over the place, and I'll wait until we see the final numbers. I guess more than anything it's a balancing out. Now let's talk about the flip side of that coin, what we lost for all of these changes. So the first thing is that Fight or Flight used to last 25 seconds, it's now down to 20 seconds. There is a ton of very minor potency nerfs to things like Riot Blade, Royal Authority, Atonement. We're seeing more leveling down of the physical side for sure here. Not by anything too significant, I wouldn't worry about it, but we are seeing a little bit of a toning down. With that, let's get into the rest of the Paladin's miscellaneous changes. So first up, Iron Will, the enmity skill, is now getting a new fancy icon to show when you want to remove tank stance, as well as a minor reduction in recast time. Even though it was already only 3 seconds, it's now being brought down to 2. Holy Sheltron was reworked from blocking incoming damage attacks to now being flat out damage reduction taken by 15%. Thank goodness. Carby damage over time effect early in the tier really haunt me. Help. Those are so bad. They also added a brand new skill, or rather an old skill that we lost, called Bulwark, which is on a shorter 9-second cooldown that will guarantee all attacks are blocked, which is great for pretty much everything other than damage over time effect skills, but it will for sure make an impact on Paladin survivability. This is a very welcome button. It's kind of like Gunbreaker has camouflage with some parry on it. I kind of like Bulwark a lot. Last but absolutely not least is Divine Veil is getting Giga buffed for Paladin. I don't know how else to say it, Giga buffed. Not needing to worry about putting a heal on a Paladin to activate Divine Veil is what's happening, and that's huge. And as a healer, let alone how paladins feel about this, this is an amazing change. This is going to make the skill feel so much better. Moving on for paladin, the rest of the tanks just got the same 3-second tank stance cooldown reduced to 2 seconds just to follow paladin's lead. Warrior also got a huge buff to shake it off, doubling its duration of its shield from 15 to 30 seconds, and very interestingly enough now has a heal over time component added to it to heal for a cure potency of 100 per tick. This is a separate buff that lasts for 15 seconds, so we're getting 300 upfront burst healing, which we already had with Shake It Off when Shake It Off is used. The big berry that we know and love, and then 500 potency of heal over time effect for a total of 800 potency of healing total underneath this barrier. Monk's Riddle of Earth skill has been reworked. There are no charges anymore. There are no stacks that you go through for your damage mitigation. It now just has a 2-minute cooldown, reduces damage taken by 20% for 10 seconds, and also has a heal over time component to it for the monk themselves, lasting 15 seconds each tick, healing 100 potency for a total of 500 potency. So why does monk get a tank button? For real, this is kind of amazing. Like, I'm kind of jealous. I want this. Dragoon's Life Surge is getting a minor buff cooldown from 45 down to 40 seconds, so you're saving 5 seconds here. It's nothing too crazy, but welcome for sure. Bard's Nature's Menace is now way better. Absolutely always was amazing with Scholar. It is something that is my bread and butter. It's in my Thanos gauntlet of I really don't want to deal with this mechanic. Now Sage also gets a lot of perks with Bards too. No more of Nature's Menace on a warrior to deploy that big ass Scholar barrier, because Bard's Nature's Menace now hits the entire party within a 20-yard radius. Sure, its cooldown is now raised by 30 seconds to 2 minutes, still lines up with the major Scholar shields and Sage barriers. Sure, it's 5% less, but now it impacts the whole party. This will help White Mages and Astros out a ton too. Absolutely fantastic buff for Bards. Absolutely great. Now Dancer can use Curing Waltz and Shield Samba while dancing. Pure quality of life, but this is quality of life that I absolutely will take and wish I had during Shadowbringers when I was raiding a lot on Dancer. It's a great change. White Mage has the recast time for ass eyes reduced to 40 seconds, so 5 seconds is going to be shaved off, which for every White Mage using a size, it's just going to translate to a DPS gain. I don't know why any White Mage would ever complain about this. More ass size is more ass size, and everyone loves ass size. It is solid and thick. Now Sage, these changes I have to say make me really freaking happy. Phlegma, same deal as before, has reduced recharge time down from 45 to 40 seconds. Sure, it's only 5 seconds, but guess what? I will take it. I will 100 times over say I will take it. Give me more DPS stuff to do on healers. Thank you, I will take it. Second Sage change is now ADDERSTING can be procced from AoE barriers. And know what I gotta say? Thank you, Yoshi P, from the bottom of my heart, because this is huge for me. I can count on one hand the number of planned Eucrasian diagnosis single target barriers that I use, which is the only way that you used to be able to get ADDERSTING. Actually, I need no hands to count how many, because the number, especially on Sage, should be 0 in raids in planned content, but for planned AoE barriers to keep the squishies alive, yeah, ADDERSTING is so much better now. This is great. Do you want to spam AoE barriers? No, you still don't want to do that, but it's going to be a way to get ADDERSTING way more in a much more organized, way more planned fashion than before. I am a huge fan of this. Now, I saved the best for last because I am really freaking a big fan of these Machinist changes. I'm gonna keep it real short because Machinist is my baby. Gauss Round and Ricochet are your spammed OGCDs. 10 potency on them really translates into a significant amount over the fight. They're the silent heroes during Overheat, Heat Blast, Burst Phase, Hypercharge. Also got the Dark Knight treatment. It now lasts 10 seconds rather than 8. Gives 5 stacks of Overheated to spend, allowing more breathing room. That is going to be excellent, especially for the high ping players that are like really struggling. Obviously with the OGCD weaves, it can still be a little bitey, but it's better. Then we're also seeing some basic combo potency boosts. Extra damage is always a big W to me. Get all of these ranged physical in line. I think that's fair. And now the creme de la creme. Most creators will probably not search for this, not even mention this in their coverage, but I searched it out and I found it, and the biggest change in the patch notes. Sorry, Paladin Rework, but this is huge to me. Dismantle is a skill Machinists used to have for very long time ago in the days of Eld when I was still in high school. And now it's added back and it's improved. It lowers the target's damage, all damage, by 10% for 10 seconds, and they also have Tactician as always. Yeah, so what? The Machinist has amazing utility, and it has been what I have been begging for. I'm like, we could use a shield, we could use a damage mid, like give it a combat revive. Absolutely love an extra mitigation button. I have complimented Red Mage over and over again for Magic Barrier having that, as well as Addle. Machinist now gets that. I think it is such a solid solid win for Machinist. I'm ending the video here. What an awesome set of changes. Wow, this is actually such a good, I'm elated.